Konami Studios.
Crossover issue number 6. This is the final issue in the first arc, the Kids Love Chains arc of this book from Donny Cates. You know, I say it every time too, but I want to say it again because it's the end of this arc. I think Donny Cates did a great job at telling a story that is an homage and a love letter to the comic books that he in particular, and I know it's weird to say in particular him, but that he grew up with, because I think there's a clear homage this entire arc to the earlier stuff with Spawn. Like, I'm not going to get too much into it, but like all the heroes imprisoned, and that was obviously like a big thing for him, just seeing that idea and then dealing with the 90s and the intensity of the 90s, and I'm okay with that because I like some of that stuff too. And then there's other things in here where I'm just like, I can't be mad at you. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of some of the ideas you present in this book. I can't be mad when it comes to taking the characters that you've created in other stories, like the paybacks, like God Country, and paying those off in this kind of a story. Like, I would do the same thing if any of my creations were able to come into another book I made. You're damn right I'd do it, because that's going to get more people to want to read my previous work, and that's going to make me more money, and that's going to get me more jobs, and then eventually that's going to get me a film script sold, and then I'm going to become a movie writer. That's how this thing works. Now, does Cates want to become a movie writer? I don't know. But it could happen, because this is how you do it. You get people showing that you can do everything in this industry and you can write anything. That's how this works. So I'm not going to be mad at Cates for doing that kind of stuff. There's certain elements in this book that I'm not a big fan of. There's certain revelations in here that I am a fan of. But at the same time, I don't hold this as like the highest work of art in the comic book industry currently going on store shelves. I think it's fun. It's interesting, it's creative enough where I'm going to be invested in whatever the story it's telling, and I think what it's doing a great job here is just showing us something different. So, we ended last issue, we saw that Ryan pulled out his kryptonite gun, he's going to kill Ava, but now we see Elle's like, what are you doing? You killed her, you do anything with that gun, I'm literally going to hit you and kill you. And we see that their narrator that was trying to tell the story of Ryan and Elle kind of dies. I think it's supposed to be like the voice of Donny Cates talking through that. I know they didn't really specify, but I think that's what it is. And that part of the story is kind of over. And we see that Ryan's like, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'll move on with my life. Let's get on to the next part of this thing. And basically, we got to get into the breach. But Ryan's like, should I do this? Am I going to do this? But Elle jumps in. She grabs Ava. She grabs Otto. And we get some nice colors, some nice looking pages with like the classic comic book pop art. And we're seeing all like the characters going through. And we get a great, I love this reveal. I think this is a fantastic way to reveal going inside of the dome when Otto puts on his glasses and he sees everything he wanted to see. And I want to take a couple minutes to talk about this page in particular, because this is what Otto sees when he puts on his glasses. We get a nice splash page of a lot of comic book characters, and in particular, a lot of comic book characters from the Image era, but from like the early Image era, and from, you know, a bunch of different creators. A lot of independent stuff. There's some things in this page, I'm going to put it up because I want to talk about it for a bit. There's some things in the page that you're like, okay, obviously the silhouette of the Ninja Turtles in there, obviously the silhouette of like the mixed-colored Hulk in the back there, the Fantastic Car. You see all that stuff. But then in the forefront, you're like, this is some Image crap that you know very well. Savage Dragon's there. Witchblade is there. You know, you got extreme characters from Rob Liefeld there. The lead girl from I Hate Fairyland is there. Samaritan is there. I mean, that to me was everything I needed, because I'm a huge fan of Astro City, and seeing Samaritan made the whole thing work for me. Battle Pope is in there. It's all those characters, aside from the girl from I Hate Fairyland, because that's more modern. But it's a lot of those characters from like that early era of Image, and like when it was starting to come into its own, and like that style of characters, like the over-the-top dramatic intensity, like the colors and the bright designs and everything so agile and creepy. It's that era of comic books that he's playing with here, and I can't hate him for that. You know, I know you're doing stuff with like Todd McFarlane, or you're doing some of the stuff with Spawn, I think Donny Cates is doing, so it makes sense that era of Image is a big deal. Robert Kirkman, again, he's coming back. I think Donny Cates was working on some of the stuff for like the Skybound 10th anniversary. So yeah, it makes sense that we see some Kirkman characters in here. I like that a lot. So it's just a bunch of people beating each other up, and it looks pretty cool, I gotta say. Like one of the characters from Black Hammer shows up to talk to them, And he's like, for some reason he knows who Elle is, and she's like, what? Okay, we should keep moving. We see one of the characters from Wicked and Divine just being like, oh, you have no idea what's going on. Like, that's fun. And that's the kind of stuff that I like, because you don't need to do the Marvel or the DC characters if this is an homage to comic books. Because if we did this exact story and we took out characters like Madman, we took out characters like Hit Girl, who we'll get to in a second here, we took out characters like the Paybacks or the Valifax from God Country, if we took out all those things, it stops being about a comic book and it starts being something different. It starts being this idea of like DC and Marvel and how they're so important and popular. But if you really want to homage comic books, get Wicked and Divine in here, get Black Hammer in here, get Savage Dragon. Nothing screams comic books like Savage Dragon. Like, really, that character is the echelon of comic books. He's all of them. So all of our 4 characters, they're just running through, they're trying to figure out how to escape. They run into some zombies, they're in black and white, so I'm going to assume they're the zombies from The Walking Dead. She gets out the weapon to kill them. It's, you know, the Valifax slashes his way through. Ellie's doing a great job. They kind of consume themselves onto Otto, but he is saved by Hit Girl, and I'm like, that's a surprise. That's kind of cool to see Hit Girl show up in here. So they're like, okay, thanks, Hit Girl. And she runs back into the fight. They're having fun. They're just getting their way through, trying to figure everything out. They do reach the dome where, like, Ava can go back in and potentially find her family. So they say their goodbyes. She's scared to do it, but she does manage to walk through, and as she does, like, a big crash comes down, somebody comes flying down. A character I'm not too familiar with who this is, but we see, like, this character in, like, some weird armor. I'm going to assume it's from one of those, like, Image books, or, like, you know, like a Vertigo thing from an older era. They see, like, this weird creature in the sky. It's like looking like an evil Superman, and this guy goes back to go into the fight. As that's happening, we see that Ava did manage to go through the border to get back to her home. And in the fray, Ellie gets hurt, and Ryan goes to find Otto, but Otto is dying, and he says his last words like, dude, you burned down my comic book store. Just let me die. Get Ellie out of here and save her. You gotta trust me, kid. So Otto dies, and I'm like, really? We're killing Otto? He's like the ride-along character because he is all of us. Otto represents all of us, because stuff with Ellie happens a little later. And I think it's kind of cool, something I literally just thought of now that I'm saying it. It's like Otto's like the old school comic book fan. It's been there since day one, ride or die, and Ryan's kind of like the new era, bringing in like, I have a vague idea of these characters because, you know, I've seen a movie or something, but now I'm a part of the world. That's kind of fun. It's something that comic books don't do because people don't read comic books who haven't read them before, but hey, you never know, right? It's very cool. So we fade to black, we cut up, Ellie wakes up in a random room, she's there with Ryan, and basically it's just like, hey, Otto died, I'm sorry it happened, but like they're trying to figure out what to do next, and it's like a really intense moment, like that's gripping stuff. Elle's just trying to like, okay, this is not good. Otto's gone, I'm stuck with this loser who had a gun, he was going to kill a child, and we're in the middle of a big war. Not a lot of good stuff going on here. And Ellie's just kind of freaking out. She doesn't know what to do. So she goes to the bathroom and wipes the makeup off of her body, and basically she's trying to like clean herself up. And Ryan's just like, you know, I want to be a good guy. Like my dad wasn't. I'm trying to be a better person now to do the right thing here. Maybe that's doing this. And we see as she removes the makeup from her body, she says, dude, my parents are not from Denver, man. Like, I am not there. And we get the reveal that Ellie is actually a comic book character. Now, I like the reveal. Does it lose some of like the interesting factor of it having be Ellie being like the last woman who's like a cosplayer? Maybe, but this is fine. Great time to put on the Invincible shirt, considering the time I'm recording this is the time that the finale for season 1 comes out. It's cool, man. It's cool stuff. I don't hate this book at all. I think it's very fun. The artwork is very clean. A lot of the stuff in this I find very enjoyable and very cinematically fun. And just seeing a bunch of these characters that you're just like, yeah, these are the characters we should use when we're talking about the comic book industry. If we were doing them like movies, sure, throw in Iron Man. But we don't need Iron Man right now. These are the characters we got, and they look pretty cool. I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot. So it's a fun book. I'm excited to see what happens next with Ellie revealing herself to be a comic book character. And I do like the tease for the next issue where we're following the stories of Chip Zdarsky, presumably. interesting to see how that might play out. Very, very interested. That's fascinating to me what they're going to do with that one. I like it a lot. So if you are consistently liking this book, you're going to like this issue. If you're still mixed on it like I am, you're going to enjoy it. There's a lot to like about this, but I won't go out of my way and say it's the perfect book because it's not, but it's damn close to being something a lot of people are going to like. So I encourage you to check it out if you haven't. By the time this comes out, issue 6, that's the end of the first arc, so give it a couple months. There'll probably be a trade you can pick up, and it's probably going to be worth your time that way. So, crossover, issue number 6, I am going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.